Hi guys, how you doing? Right, today I would like to talk to you about PTSD. It's something that I've suffered with since I was a child. Like really early on as a child, because I was so ill. Like I was in and out of hospital and in and out of doctor surgeries probably as much as I was at home. It was literally like a second home to me being in hospital. And there was always people prodding and poking with like needles and shit like that. And there was always teams of doctors like, fucking hell. And there's me like, what? So looking at, literally a whole team of people because they were just so fascinated by my face and shit. They were just like, fuck me, what is he? If I could talk, I would have slapped them, like verbally slapped them. But yeah, I couldn't. So apparently, this is back when doctors used to wear white coats, by the way. If I ever saw someone with a white coat coming towards me, apparently I would scream and cry my eyes out. So, yeah. And this was from very early on until about three and a half, where I just got used to it. I realised that they weren't there to purposely hurt me, but, they were trying to do stuff. I had my first operation when I was 2. So, but they gave me the magic cream on the back of the hand. It was like a numbing cream shit, but they called it magic cream. So I was alright, I was a big boy, I was brave. Hard, mate, hard. But yeah. It got worse when I started school, unfortunately, because I was really looking forward to school. Like I was raised around women. Like my mum was single until I was like, when she divorced my dad, I was 2, and she didn't meet my stepdad till I was 5, but then I didn't meet him till I was about 6. So the only male in my life constantly was my granddad, because my dad was away working and stuff like that. He wasn't a bad parent, he was amazing, but he was always working. So my mum had loads of female friends and they all had daughters. So there's me, the only lad in a whole bunch of women, which sounds fantastic. And in some ways it was. In some ways it was hilarious. But in other ways it was just like, oh, for fuck's sake. So, I couldn't wait to school to get some lad mates and, fucking rough house and play football and just like fight and stuff like that. I didn't want to fight, but you know what I mean, I play fight and shit. So anyway, the first day of school came and I remember like leaping out of my bed, and I got dressed as quick as I could. I made my bed. I think it was the first time I ever made my bed on my own. I was feeling responsible on that day. I was like, I'll do it. It's alright, I'll do it. Making sure it's all perfect and shit. And I ran downstairs to have some breakfast. Ate my breakfast and shot out the front door. My mum's waddling behind me like nice slow pace. I'm like, come on, mate! I want to get to school, yo! But my mum being mum, I ain't rushing. I'm going to go at my own pace. Which she did. In all fairness, she wasn't hardly going to run with me. But it was terribly frustrating because I'd run about 10 metres in front and I'd have to run 9 metres back. And I kept doing this. So by the time I got to school, I was like, fucking hell, I'm knackered. But yeah, I got to school, all happy and excited. Mum left, didn't have a problem with that at all. I was like, slick, ta-ra, see you later. And literally the second I walked into the classroom, a lad called Shane, who I ended up being good friends with, he just walked over and started pulling faces at me and taking the piss, basically, which then caused everybody else to like zoom and kind of surround me and just take the piss until the teacher broke it up and whatnot. And that first day pretty much summed up school for me, which is why I went like half of the time. I became an expert liar, basically. I came up with every excuse under the sun, because you can't use the same excuse twice on the trot, you know what I mean? Because your mum gets wise and she's like, yeah, piss off, school. And, but basically, I started lying and I thought, hang on, I can get away with some funky shit here. And I started lying about everything, which turned out was my defense mechanism for detesting my reality. I hated my life. Even when I was a kid, I hated my life. I used to have visions of my mum being dragged away by her hair and me being left on a doorstep on my own. I don't know where that came from. Nobody knows where that came from, but it's something that, you know, I was a little kid, man. I was like 4, 5, and I was thinking shit like that. And we just don't know why. I don't know why. But yeah, I mean, it got worse when my dad died again, like when I was 12. Didn't help that year I was going to high school as well, which was just insane. So I just bullshitted everybody, man. I came up with all these funky ass stories, because I was always into adventure shows when I was a kid. Like, my favourite films were Indiana Jones, because he's always off on an adventure, like swinging on vines and shit like that, looking for treasure, and that was what I wanted to do. I was like, slick, I want to wear that shit. I want to fucking get a bullwhip and whip the shit out of somebody, and which turned out to be something entirely different, but we're not getting into that. But yeah, my brain started latching on to every negative thing that ever happened to me. Like, I have got good memories, but bad ones, they outweigh the good ones by like 90%, 10%. And unfortunately, that's just how my brain works. Like, I've always been insecure about myself, about everything. Everything. I know I look different, I sound different. You know, girls used to ask me out for a dare, and every time they did that, it absolutely obliterated my soul. So, being Sam as a kid was like, no, I don't want to be him. I used to be called Samuel William Jones, and it got so bad that I changed my name to Samuel Indy Phoenix. Indiana Jones. There you go. You know, just to attempt to have a new reality. And in all fairness, when I changed my name, I did feel different. But it took a long way to get there. Like I said, I lied about a lot of things to a lot of people, even my best friends and my family. You know, it didn't matter to me, because I just wanted an escape. Like, I have the flashbacks, I have those constantly, all the time. I mean, you know, when you're watching somebody playing a game on like the PlayStation or Xbox or something like that, and they're making the character do, and you're like, fuck it, oh, slow down. Do you know what I mean? You're like, fuck me, man, that's just killed my eyes, what you doing? And they're still doing all this, and you're like, Jesus Christ, mate, how are you not fucking dizzy right now? Because I'm about to be sick. That's what my head's like. And I can hear all the laughing, and I can, yeah, you know, like all those fucking things in my head. I'm not psycho or anything, don't think that. That's not what PTSD is. PTSD is basically a show reel of everything negative that's ever happened to you playing on repeat in your head. So I can still see every single girl that came up and asked me out on a date. I can still hear everyone that ever laughed at me. I can still picture my family being assholes. Because some of them are. Straight up, they're fucking assholes. I don't want anything to do with them ever again. And, you know, that's just, unfortunately, that's life. Everyone has assholes in the family. I happen to have quite a few. Pardon me, including myself. I can be a bastard. I can be a stroppy bastard. But I go through bouts of insomnia because of the, you know, not being able to turn my head off. And I'll lie awake and all these memories will come flooding back and I'll just feel like, oh, fucking stop, will you? And, you know, I'd love to be able to turn it off, but I can't. You just kind of get used to it. You have to get used to it. You don't have a choice. It either breaks you or you break it. And oh fuck, that's cold now. Coffee's nice when it's hot. It's nice when it's iced, but when it's fucking lukewarm, rough. So yeah, I suffer with insomnia because my head just won't turn off. I feel guilty if I say no to somebody. It could be the stupidest little thing, but if I have to say no to somebody, I feel relentless guilt for weeks, months even sometimes, you know. And I think, am I a bad person just because I've said no when anybody else wouldn't have a fucking issue saying no? It's little things like that make PTSD a bastard. And two more symptoms are depression and anxiety, which I have both of as well, but that'll be a separate video. But the whole point, I know this is a series about someone with Carey-Fineman-Ziter syndrome, but if it wasn't for Carey-Fineman-Ziter syndrome, I wouldn't have PTSD, because I would have been a normal child. I wouldn't have been picked on. I wouldn't have had this. I wouldn't have had that. I wouldn't have had to sit in front of teams of doctors going, fuck me, it's a new species. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't have had all the trauma. So it is related. The only thing I can do is relate myself to somebody else that's worse off than me. Someone that, you know, has been through a different kind of trauma, but you see, two people can go through the same trauma, but it affects them differently. It just depends on what kind of person you are. And someone that's been through, say, abuse when they were a child, completely different reason for PTSD. Like, alright, yeah, I was bullied and shit, and I was verbally abused, and like psychologically abused, but I wasn't physically abused. Whereas someone that's been physically abused will have completely different fucking views on PTSD than me. For me, it's just about one trauma after another building up and 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 up, and it will be forever lasting. Like, you know, yeah, it's a pain in the ass. I have good days, I have bad days. You might see that I'm quite sprightly today. Well, that's because I've had about 17 cups of coffee. Because I didn't sleep last night. Basically, a friend that I've had since high school, his 13-year-old daughter died of cancer about 4 days ago. She was diagnosed when she was 9 years old, and she fought it for 4 years. Had chemo, had surgeries, and she always had a smile on her face. But cancer won. And it just got me thinking, man. I was like, fucking hell. It brought back, memories of my dad dying and all false memories that I've conjured up in the past. Like, the whole story of my dad dying in my head for years was he was late picking me up from school. And I got home, and as I walked through the door, we got a phone call. My mum answered it, and it was my auntie saying that my dad had died. Never happened. It never happened. Apparently, my dad died on a Wednesday, so he was never meant to pick me up, right? However, the phone call was real. That is how it happened. I got home from school, and it was a phone call, and it was, your dad was found on the kitchen floor. And I remember not reacting at all, because I was in shock. But that's just another part of it, like, memories that don't exist are created. It's just a nightmare. But I'm going to stop talking shite now, because I'm probably boring you. If you want to talk about it, about PTSD or anything, like, drop a comment in the comment section, or like or subscribe to the video. I will get back to you. If not, thanks for listening. Have a great day. Much love. Peace. See you next week.